Texion of Yayatma Bhutanam Ishwaropi San Pakritim Swamadhishtaya Sambhavam Yatmamayaya. Translation. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Text 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadadmanam shrujamya. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tadvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Text 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashitaha bhavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became pure in me, and thus they attained transcendental love for me. Text 11. Ye yata mam prapadyante tang stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvasha. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. 12. Kangshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha shipram hi manushe siddhir bhavati karma jaha. Men in this world desire success and fruit of activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. Text 13. Chatur varnyam maya shishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Text 14. Namam karmani limpanti name karma pale spriha iti mam yo vijanati karma virna sabhadyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruit of reactions of work. Text 15. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvar api mumukshubhi guru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding, and so attained liberation. Therefore, as the ancients, you should perform your duty in this divine consciousness. Text 16. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajgyatva mokshase subhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all sins. Okay, text. Returning to text 6. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. We would love to hear from Maharaj.
Someone can read the translation and purport.
Translation. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Purport. The Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many, many past births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly at the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his prakriti or his form. Prakriti means nature as well as swarupa, or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body. As a common living entity changes from one body to another, the conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body, by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is the Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. Despite the fact Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth, astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the same time of the battle, at the time of the battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. Or in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. Still, he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us. Although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past and future, neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes. Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence. Actually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun is set. And when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position, but owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because his appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of any ordinary common living entity, it is evident that he is eternal, blissful knowledge by his internal potency. And he is never contaminated by material nature. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in multi-manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayan, with 4 hands and decorations of the 6 kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy. According to the Vishvakosha dictionary, the Lord is conscious of all his previous appearances and disappearances. But a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self, or between his quality and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse.
Oh.
So we're here in this material world, and this is a place of subjugation and um, where so many laws are there in place, and they're constantly, uh, you know, taxing the living entities here who've chosen to take birth here, time and time again. One of those laws is time, and here we hear Krishna saying, he's talking about his nature, his transcendental nature. And in this verse, he says, he appears in every millennium in his original transcendental form. So clearly, he's stating that he's beyond time. So one of his qualities is that he is not affected by time, because time actually is one of his energies. So he's above time. Just like there's a lot of influential people in today's society who are actually above the law, they've got that power. So, and they might break the law too, but still they're above the law. They are not affected by the law for whatever reason. They may be too powerful, and they have so much money and influence that they can get away with whatever they want. Of course, Krishna, um, he doesn't break the laws of material nature out of, some criminal acts or out of his lust or greed, because he doesn't actually have those things. He in the next verse, or yeah, next verse, he states actually why he comes here. He says that the reasoning for his coming here is that when there's a predominant rise of irreligion, he descends himself in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. So to establish the principles of religion. Actually, he comes and breaks the law to establish the law, which is his mercy. Just like sometimes we see like a police officer or a fireman or something, he's running a red light, but he's doing it not because he's doing it because he's trying to save a life. That's his job. Similarly, the Lord comes here and he's breaking all kinds of rules for the pleasure of his devotees. Like the purport Prabhupada mentions an example. He's 125 years old and he's got all these grandkids, but actually he looks like a youth, So we can see that he's actually beyond time. He's not affected by time. And when he acts in various ways, he's not acting out of illusion, or he's not being impelled by the modes of material nature. And similarly, when he comes to this world, he's not coming out of his karma, and when he leaves, he's also not leaving and taking, being followed by any karma. And he can remember all of his past births. It's quite amazing. I have a difficult time remembering anything, so That's the Lord. And there's no different, because he's the absolute truth, there's no differentiation between anything having to do with him, in the sense that not that there's not any variety there, because he has unlimited qualities. He has all these different forms, he's got all these different names, he's got unlimited devotees, he's got unlimited pastimes, he's got unlimited planets in Vaikuntha, and he's got unlimited energies, but they're all of the same nature, meaning they're transcendental, Satchidananda, they're fully spiritual, uh, full of bliss, full of knowledge, and they're eternal. So, and that's the subject matter of the Vedas. All the different Vedas, they speak on the Lord's transcendental nature. The Upanishads, all of them. And a lot of the Vedic literatures, they speak of Krishna in the form of as Narayan, with four hands. Like, for instance, there's places in the Upanishads where it says that Narayan is the source of Brahma, Narayan is the source of Shiva, Narayan is the source of Indra, Narayan is the source of all the various demigods, the sages, um, the four Kumars, all the personalities, the Prajapatis. Narayan is the source of everything, but the source of Narayan is actually Krishna. So that's quite interesting. So then you can go into the next one, next verse. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Purport: the word Shrajami is significant herein. Shrajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Shrajami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is, although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of Dwapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 8th Manu, in one day of Brahma. Still, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. So the demons, there's so many demons, and they're coming, and they're trying to actually usurp Krishna of his eternal position. And it's a fool's game, because it's not possible. Krishna is eternally God, but still, we come to this world and we try to do that. And we hear that in the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, in the Bhagavatam, so many times where the Brahmanas are performing sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, and they're doing their duty, and they're engaging perfectly in the essence of true religion, which is to offer sacrifice to Krishna, to work for Krishna, to meditate on Krishna. And demons come and they harass the devotees, because they're trying to upset the natural, the natural law. and they're trying to become God, but then God incarnates in so many different forms to protect the devotees and to kill those demons. And doing so, he gives great pleasure to his devotees, and that's how he reciprocates with that's how he's showing love. It's a very affectionate thing that he does this. It's very nice. Let's see. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad-gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto him, and whenever such principles are disturbed by the demonic, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using their pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demonic tendency still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of nonviolence. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can advent himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant, or himself in some disguised form. The principles of the Bhagavad-gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true both in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. So the Lord, he either personally comes in one of his many forms, or he sends his authorized devotee to act for him. He gives them the power of attorney. So he specifically empowers like Srila Prabhupada to come and to do just that, to come to this degraded civilization, this degraded world, and to create a ripple of Krishna consciousness, so that then the conditioned souls here, we can wake up, you know, we get touched by that ripple that's created by such a transcendental personality, and it causes us to question what we're doing, why I am behaving like an animal, I'm in this body, but I'm living just like an animal, you know, it's pretty weird. And it's not so good, not so happy, and that's Vedic civilization is advanced civilization, which means a number of things, but primarily it means that the focus is on arousing Krishna consciousness uh, in every living entity. The whole system is set up that way. The four statuses of social life and the four statuses, orders of spiritual life. The whole system is designed in such a way that naturally all living entities can make progress towards the goal of life, which is Krishna consciousness. And that is real civilization. Otherwise, in animal civilization, the whole thing is just plagued by so many problems, greed and anxiety and just complex problems, one problem after another. So much suffering, lust, all these different things. But in the Vedic civilization is very well organized and very simple and very high philosophy, so that human beings can actually come to that platform. And it's also nice because then when we're living according to the Vedic culture, the Vedic education, and the Vedic religion, then everyone benefits. The demigods benefit, the human beings benefit, the animals benefit. Everything is working very smoothly and very nicely. And that was the way that it was practiced by the saintly kings and sages back in the day. And we hear about that from the Bhagavatam, how nice civilization was, how peaceful and how prosperous it was, and how the land was very much fruitful, and so many nice vegetables and spices and fruits and trees and flowers all growing very naturally. The animals were happy, you know, the water is fresh and the air is fresh and there's no trash anywhere, and the kings are pious, and they're taking care of their subordinates like a, a parent would take care of their child. The king bears the responsibility of the problem of each citizen. You know that that's an amazing amount of love and compassion and affection that's there within that society. Like we were hearing, like if one citizen were to go to the king and say, this happened to me, this happened to my family, whatever, some bad thing, some unfortunate thing, the king would take it as his responsibility. He would take it as his fault, something he neglected to do, something he did wrong, and like that, he would feel aggrieved, and because the kings are acting as they're acting in accordance with the brahmanas, and the brahmanas are acting in accordance with the injunctions of the Lord. And so that we get to see, wow, just how compassionate the Lord actually is. That we need so many things to maintain ourselves, and they're all being provided for us, and we have the knowledge. The knowledge is given on how to actually appreciate those things, how to maintain those things, like the water, the air, the fruits, the animals. We're given the Shastra, we're given the supplies from Krishna, and we're also given the knowledge on how not to abuse it, how to take care of it, how to use it in his service, you know? And like that, the whole material world practically becomes the spiritual world, becomes Vaikuntha. There's no anxiety, you know? And at present, we can see that because this system is being neglected, and it's there, everybody is actually full of this anxiety, and things are very much degraded, you know. So again, we should, the knowledge is here, you know. People just are not educated. They don't even know, you know. There's a lot of people who don't even know about the Krishna consciousness movement, or they know about it, but they don't have a complete picture of it. They've heard about it. They saw a movie, you know, which very poorly, you know, and satirically portrayed maybe a devotee. You know, I've seen this before in some shows. They have a 5-second clip where, you know, there's a devotee or something or whatever, and it's kind of like, and then people get this idea, oh, that, you know, they get the wrong idea. You know, so there's a lot of there's a lack of education, proper education, and misunderstandings, and but we have the knowledge here. Srila Prabhupada made it very much accessible to the whole world, whereas before it was really accessible only to a certain class of men. So this is a actually an incredible time to be alive, and because we get to take part in something very, very, very nice, you know, and perfect our lives, you know. So Lord is very merciful. Okay, we can go on. Yes, Prabhu.
I'd like to ask about this last point that you're saying, that Srila Prabhupada made this knowledge available for all people. So I was thinking about this point, how Prabhupada says that the Bhagavad-gita was spoken for Arjuna, who was beyond first class. So then this, I've been thinking about this. So I'm wondering, okay, we're trying to give the highest thing to somebody, you know, this knowledge. So, but we're of the lowest class, but we're giving the highest knowledge.
But we don't stay at the lowest class. If someone's given the opportunity to come to associate with the devotees, even if he comes from the lowest class, he doesn't remain in the lowest class. He becomes a Paramahamsa. He becomes a Brahmana. He becomes, you know, all these things. Vaishnava. Nothing higher, because he's associating with Krishna and he's engaged in the pure activity of serving Krishna. He's getting the highest knowledge and he's taking advantage of it. So it doesn't matter what he was when he was born, or what family he comes from, or what race, or what have you. He has the opportunity if he comes in contact. And therefore it said, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad He Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. If one goes searching throughout the universe, living entities they're going from one body to another, transmigrating. But if somehow they come in contact with Guru and Krishna, in other words, they contact a representative of Krishna, and they learn from that representative of Krishna how to serve Krishna, then they're the most fortunate person. He's gotten the seed of the plant, creeper of devotional service, and it will grow and it'll take him back to the spiritual world. So, that answers your question.
I'm having trouble understanding this idea of trying to attract people by giving them like something that they can appreciate or something like that versus you know, like we're giving this full thing, surrender to God, God's a person, surrender to him. That's the real religion. That's the essence of the Gita. So we give that to somebody and we teach them how. Chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam. I can tell somebody that, but sometimes we get in this thought process, or at least I do, like, okay, how do I make the presentation more attractive for somebody else? So I'm just wondering, is there any value in that thought process, or is that a distraction to pure devotional service, or a waste of time?
No, as long as you want to make it attractive to Krishna, meaning, to the people, that's good. That means you want to make it more attractive to Krishna, because that will make it attractive more to the people. So you want to please Krishna, and that's what we're supposed to do. In other words, if you want to clean the temple, so you're cleaning the temple, that'll please Krishna, and also please all the parts and parcels, because any person who sees a clean environment, he becomes cleansed and elevated. So the idea is to please Krishna in all activities, and automatically that will please the living entities.
Yeah, that's a really nice point. That I'm trying to make it attractive for myself, and I compromise, and I try to make it attractive for somebody else, and I will compromise. But if I try to make it attractive for Krishna, then it actually becomes attractive, and then that's the thing. Yes, Prabhu.
I was thinking of this verse that Maharaj sometimes quotes by Rupa Goswami, Yena Tena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshaya Sarva Vidhi Nishevasho Etayo Eva Kinkaraha. And Prabhupada also quotes this verse that somehow or another we get them interested in Krishna. And by that one principle, then all other rules will gradually come to follow. Because there is something that our movement has that's anyone can begin. Prabhupada says, at least you can chant Hare Krishna, you can take prasadam. There's something. And even just to engage them to support our missionary activities in some way or another. They may not even be able to chant. They may just be able to work or do some service, something they can do to help us in our missionary activities. That would be beneficial for them in the long run. And they can gradually take up the other aspects. But, yeah.
That was a nice point, Prabhu. Thank you. We can end there. Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.